Om Asato Ma Sadgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityurma Amritam Gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om, lead us from the unreal to the real, lead us from darkness unto light, lead us from death to immortality. Om, peace, peace, peace. Revered Swami Sunirmalananda Ji Maharaj, respected Upadhyay Ji, other devotees, volunteers, esteemed guests, friends who are present here. It's a great pleasure to be here this afternoon with you all in the Vedanta Society of Netherlands. I selected one of my favorite texts, the Panchadashi. It's a text of Advaita Vedanta. It was composed about 500 years ago in the south of India, in the Vijayanagar kingdom at that time, by a great post-Shankara Advaita master, Vidyaranya Swami. This master, this great monk and sage, he has written a number of Advaita works, among which the most famous are the Vivarana Pranaya Sangraha, which is a very technical work. And then among the two best known works are Jivan Mukti Viveka, that's one, and the one which I am going to use this afternoon, Panchadashi. Panchadashi literally means 15 chapters. 15 prakaranas, 15 chapters of Advaita Vedanta. Each of these chapters conveys the message of Advaita Vedanta. Now, we can't have a commentary going on at the back. Yes. So each of these chapters conveys the message of Advaita Vedanta. It's a remarkable work, one of the most famous post-Shankara Advaita works, the Panchadashi. And we're going to read the Panchadashi just a little bit from the first chapter itself. There is a sequence at the beginning of the first chapter which I love very much. I've used it a number of times to talk about Advaita Vedanta. What you find in that sequence, just 8 verses or so, 7 or 8 verses. The entirety of Advaita Vedanta teachings is given there, but in a very remarkable way. Instead of quoting from the Upanishads, what Vidyaranya Swami does is, he refers to our direct experience and reasons upon it. So by using only experience and reason, experience means something that we all experience, none of us can deny it. And then he does an inquiry based on this reasoning and brings forth the Advaita teachings to all of us. Very remarkable display. He does this in 6-7 verses. And then he says, look, what we have discovered here now, just by these 7 verses, by listening to this and thinking about it, now you open your Upanishads, your Brahma Sutras, your Gita, you will see this is exactly what is called Brahman there. And not something claimed by authority, not something to be taken on faith, but something that he claims it is a matter of experience, something that we are experiencing all the time. Maybe the child can go elsewhere, outside maybe. Yeah. Swami Vivekananda says, I'm firmly convinced that when a child is prattling, he's speaking the highest philosophy, only we cannot understand it. So, the child is not saying anything different from what I will say here. It's just that we are speaking in a language which we can understand, and the child is expressing it in his or her own baby talk. See, spirituality or religion, there are different paradigms for it, different ways in which the same thing can be taught. One is the paradigm of faith, that there is a God, there is heaven. And how do I know that if you ask? Well, don't ask. You know that because you take it on faith, on Shraddha. So the texts talk about it, the masters teach you, the sages, your tradition transmits it to you. And you are supposed to believe in it and have faith in it. And then what do? You worship and pray to this God and have devotion to this God, surrender to God. And by the grace of God, you are delivered, you attain salvation. That's one format. In Sanskrit, this might be called the bhakti paradigm, the devotion paradigm. And it works on faith. If you start with questioning, this will not work. Right here, the great sage in Rotterdam, Spinoza, he got into trouble because he questioned. So if you question it, it will not work. If you say that, no, I can't believe. If I don't see it, if I don't experience it, how can I believe it? Okay, that's all right. If you sit quietly, it's fine. Let him sit. He'll sit quietly. Yeah. Sit and listen. Yeah, I used to go to the ashram at his age, and I would sit and listen. At least I hope I didn't disturb the Swami. It's like two. It's very lovely. That's all right. It's fun. It's okay. Yes. Fine. That's all right. Then another paradigm of spirituality is the experience paradigm. If you go to a text like the Patanjali Yoga Sutras, there it is not said that you have to believe in God. No. Here are practices. You sit in this way, you meditate in this way, and you will get experiences. You will actually experience it for yourself. It's very empirical. Therefore, not a question of belief as such, not taking it entirely on faith, but you practice and you will see for yourself. And Vivekananda is actually emphasized this when he came to the West, when he came to New York, and the first book that he worked on and the first book that was published of Swami Vivekananda was the Raja Yoga, the Patanjali Yoga Sutras translation, added with his lectures on Raja Yoga added there. And the format there was, here are the teachings. You practice this, you will see for yourself. Vivekananda would say that never follow somebody who says, I have seen but you cannot. You have to believe me. Rather, I have seen and you can too. You follow in this way, you will realize. So these practices one can do and come to those experiences. Various mystical states can be attained, samadhi, and then you will see for yourself, you will be convinced. I was just thinking about this a few days ago. Just a little reflection, nothing to do with our talk, marginally related to our talk today, but just a sort of footnote. The power of science. One approach is dogma. Religion has been mostly dogmatic until now. In fact, in the United States, the word for religion is faith, belief. The word used for religion is faith. What do you believe in? So dogma. Nothing wrong with it. You can always believe in right things, and I do believe that the central teachings of all religions are true. Sri Ramakrishna demonstrated that. Now that can be expressed in dogma. That here are the teachings, and you have to believe in it. Maybe one day you will verify it. After your death, you will go to heaven and see God. Or those things will be proved to you one day, but not usually. It usually starts with faith and proceeds on faith only. Proceeds on belief. Faith, dogma only. That's one. Compared to that, much more powerful is the way of the mystics. Those who had experiences, visions of God, or somebody heard a divine voice, or saw a divine light, or felt oneness with the universe, stuff like that. What are called mystical experiences. And there, the power is that if you have this experience, you cannot disbelieve it. It is so powerful, a genuine mystical experience. It's so powerful, so life transforming. Your life will be transformed after that. At the very least, many people have similar experiences, sometimes in dreams, maybe sometimes, if not outright visions, but some kind of, sometimes nature mysticism, sometimes in dreams. And one characteristic of genuine mystical experiences is that it's so profound, so life-changing. you can never forget it. You will always remember it as some of your most valuable experiences in life. It seems, although it is very rare, it's not part of our mundane reality, it will seem to you to be more real than this reality. And some of us, we have had it, and that's why we are on the spiritual path, and that's why we feel it is real. But the problem with such experiences is, it's not public. It is not shared by everybody. If you see in the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna is having an extraordinary vision of Ma Kali. In front of everybody, he is talking to Ma Kali. He is actually seeing and feeling the presence of the mother. But others are not feeling it. Others are not feeling it. So the problem with this kind of experience is, though there are genuine mystical experiences, and it is possible, and that is one aims at that. However, it can be doubted. So a skeptic might say that you are not seeing God, you are just crazy. I mean, what was the general reaction to someone like Sri Ramakrishna? The people around in Dakshineshwar used to call him the mad priest of Kali. The mad Brahmin priest of Dakshineshwar used to call him that. And that is not uncommon. It is the general reception for mystics throughout the centuries in different religions, different traditions. The initial reaction is these people are crazy. Or a more modern, more polite reaction might be, they are not crazy, but there is some, we don't doubt that you think you are seeing God. We don't doubt you think you are one with the universe or seeing a divine light. But actually what is happening is there is a tumor in this part of your brain and it is pressing on some nerves, and that's why you feel you are getting those experiences. So a neurological problem, they will say. They will not say crazy outright. They will say neurological problem is there. Or more common, what are you smoking? Are you high on some drugs? Amsterdam, I was walking by a shop and it said microdosing, psilocybin something. So you will get some special experience of well-being, even mystical experiences. At one time it was very common in the United States, the hippie culture, 1960s. Swami Ashokanandaji, who was the head of the Vedanta Society of Northern California then, he said, "Blessed Berkeley," Berkeley is where this movement first started. "Blessed Berkeley, an avatar on every street corner." On every street corner there is an enlightened being. Well, they are having experiences because they are smoking some drugs. So that could be the doubt about the direct experience path, the mystical experience path. Now, in this background, look at the power of science. See, I'm just ruminating a little bit before diving into this. I want to show you the speciality of this approach. Look at the power of science. Why is science so powerful? It is taken as universal truth. If somebody in some corner makes a scientific claim and manages to prove it and goes through the peer-reviewed process, it is taken as universal truth. It will be taken as the body of truth accepted all over the world. It does not matter what your religion is, your race is, your political convictions, religious convictions, nothing. It's universal truth. Why? One core reason is the third person verification. So, what science says is or can be potentially verified by a third party. So, you make a claim, scientific claim, and there are procedures for verifying your claim, and therefore it becomes part of the universal body of knowledge. Alright, so this is the background. In this background, notice what Vivekananda did. When he came to the West, he said that these mystical experiences are possible. If God exists, I should be able to see God. If I have an immortal soul, I'm quoting Vivekananda, if I have an immortal soul, I should be able to experience it. Not only that, this is mystical experience, but not only that, he said these are well-defined procedures for these experiences. Sit in this way, meditate in this way. The Patanjali Yoga Sutras, for example, they all give procedures in which you practice, not just Patanjali Yoga Sutras, there are many such traditions in Hinduism. You practice this and you will get these results. Notice, he is basically speaking the language of science, of empirical verification, of third-party verification. He's saying, he's making a claim that these truths, these are ancient truths, and this system was not new to Vivekananda. He put it in the new language of science. He said religious truths, or spiritual truths, spiritual claims have a claim to scientific veracity, up to the level of universal truth, which science claims. You see the point I'm making? Dogma can be disputed. If it's based on faith, you may believe, you may not believe, you may believe differently. Who can stop it? And it's a fact. Look around the world. How many are there? How many faiths are there? There are people who believe in so many different ways, and people who do not believe at all. Shankaracharya makes a distinction between an opinion and truth. So, Purushatantra, Vastutantra, he says. That which is based on personal opinion. It says, Kartum anyatha va kartum shakyate. You can do it in this way, you can do it in another way, you may not do it also. Whereas what is based on fact, on empirical evidence, on methods of knowledge, epistemology, that you have to accept. So that is what Vivekananda is doing. Even mystical experience, which was there, but till then, what had happened in Europe, and from Europe, what is there in America, and basically what is there in Europe. It's a copy, and I would claim, although I am in America, but I would claim it's a second-rate copy. So, you want to see the original, you have to come here. It was understood. Mystics, Christian mystics, Jewish mystics, they had these experiences. But the fact that these can be replicated and these are open to everybody, this was not appreciated. It was lost over the centuries of religious development here in Europe, that mystical experiences are open to everybody, and you can, not only can, you should try to have them. So third-party verification is possible in mystical experiences. It is like a scientific truth. I will not say exactly scientific truth, but it is like a scientific truth. Because it is open to third-party verification, it has a claim to universal truth. Alright, this is the background. We will go one step further. Even this mystical experiences, direct mystical experience, you life transforming, genuine mystical experiences, which can be replicated like science, which it is open to all of us. If you make the effort, you will also get it. So it is replicable. It is open to third-party verification. Even here, the problem might be, people might doubt that this guy is crazy, or this guy is high or something. But if you say, no, you try it yourself, you will verify it, then those things go out of the window. You can't say it's crazy anymore. If everybody can see it, if everybody can experience it, even there, one little doubt remains, one little problem, not a doubt, problem remains. These are very rare experiences. These are very difficult to get. You will have to work hard, practice. Yoga Sutra itself says, consistent practice over a long period of time will culminate, I'm translating from the Sutra itself, will culminate in these experiences. Consistent practice done with great care. Consistent practice done with great care over a long period of time. Then only it becomes firm. It stands on firm ground and give rise to the experiences, the yogic samadhis. Now, in contrast to that, we will see Advaita Vedanta. In contrast to that, we will see what Vidyanya Swami is saying here. No faith, no claim to belief or dogma, not even an appeal to extraordinary experiences. We will see now. He appeals to our direct experience, everyday experience, something that we have it right now. And from there he will take us and show us our real nature is Brahman, existence, consciousness, bliss. And then he will say, open the books. What I am demonstrating now, what you are seeing now, this is exactly what is called Brahman. Not on faith, not after 30 years of meditation. Right now you are seeing this, and I will show it to you, I will prove it to you. This is third-party verification based on experience and quotidian experience, universal experience, easily available experience, always available experience. And who does not have the experience of waking, dreaming, sleeping? Everybody has this experience. Who does not have the experience of the 5 levels of the human personality? We all have a body. We all have vital forces, prana. We all have mind, emotions, intellect. So all the 5 layers of the human personality are continuously available to all of us. And that's all it takes. Advaita Vedanta does not ask for anything more. And from this basis, he will demonstrate to you, you are Brahman. So this is what he does in 6 or 7 verses. It's really it's an amazing display really, of an amazing performance, if I might say so. And that's the beginning of Panchadashi. That's the first, after the first 2 invocation verses, this is verses number 3 to 9 or 3 to 10. So the beginning of the first chapter of Panchadashi. What does he say? Sabdasparshadayo vedya vaichitrya jagare prithak tato vibhakta tat samvid aikarupya na bhidyate. He says, look at our experience, and we're awake like this experience. What are you experiencing? You are seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching. You're seeing forms and colors and shapes. You are hearing sounds, various kinds of sounds. You're smelling, tasting, touching, warm, hot, hard, soft. All these experiences, each experience is different from the other. I mean, if you experience a pink rose, it is different from the green leaf. There's the green leaf and there's a pink rose. 2 are different experiences. But he says, notice, it is the same awareness, the same consciousness. You are aware. We are all aware. Same awareness, aware of the pink rose and of the green leaf. 2 different experiences. Pink and green are different experiences. Rose and leaf are different experiences. Why are they different? Because the rose is one object, the leaf is another object. They have different colors. So you have different experiences. Objects are different. Vedanta Swami starts with a simple, universal, but extraordinary observation. Our life is a series of experiences. 1. Every experience is a compound. Compound means it has some parts. What are the parts of an experience? Experience is equal to consciousness plus object. Awareness plus object. Consciousness or awareness plus object. The objects keep changing, and therefore the experience keeps changing. But consciousness does not change. Awareness does not change. Color, shape, sound, various kinds of flavors, various kinds of smells, various kinds of touch, they all keep changing. And you have the wide variety of sensory experiences which make up our day. And yet the observation, the dramatic observation is there is something constant throughout. That is awareness or consciousness. Think about it this way. Any experience we have, any experience we have ever had, any experience we are having, any experience we could possibly have, you need to be conscious. You need to have awareness, consciousness. Otherwise experience is not possible. That's 1. You need something to experience. That's 2. And then he says, what you experience keeps changing. But the one which is experiencing, the consciousness, the light which is illumining, that does not change. This is the first observation he makes. Shabdasparshadayo vedyaha, the knowables, vedya. Sound, smell, color, shape, music, speech, touch, flavor, all of these, they are various. Prithak, they are all different. Tato vibhakta tat samvit. He calls consciousness samvit. The ancient Indians had so many words for consciousness, for pure consciousness. There is no word for it in English. Pure consciousness, you have to use pure consciousness to point towards something for which Indians had words like Chit, Samvit, Chaitanya, Chiti, Bodha. So many. It is said that the Inuit people who live in snows in Greenland, I think Alaska, Greenland, Inuit. So they have Alaska. So they are supposed to have many words for snow and ice. We have a few words. Because they live in that environment for all their lives, they have developed a whole host of various shades of meaning for different words for snow. Similarly, these ancient Indians who the scholars and the sages and the monks and the spiritual seekers, sadhakas, they developed a whole language to deal with this extraordinary reality, the pure consciousness. So here, Vidyayana Swami uses the word samvit. Tato vibhakta tat samvit. He makes this big claim. Consciousness is apart from, distinct from what it experiences. The whole room we are experiencing now. So many objects are there, so many people are there, chairs and tables and shrine and the ceiling and the lights, all of them are there. But one thing is spread all over, which is light. The light illumines it all, otherwise we could not see it. And the light which illumines this entire room, suppose the sunlight, it is the same sunlight. And it is distinct from what it illumines. When the light illumines water, light does not become wet. When the light illumines dust, light does not become dusty. It's distinct, but it reveals. Similarly, he says, consciousness is distinct from the many objects which it illumines. It illumines them all, but remains distinct and unaffected by those objects. Tato vibhakta tat samvit. Aikarupya na bhidyate. There is no division in consciousness. Just think about it this way. When you are seeing, whatever you are seeing, one thing I can say, you are aware. If you are seeing, you are aware. Whatever you are hearing, you are aware. And what you are seeing and hearing very different. But the awareness which is seeing and the awareness which is hearing, same awareness. It's a remarkable observation. How different it is to see and how different it is to hear. And yet the claim is, in both cases, it is the same consciousness which is having these experiences. So, when you are seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, same consciousness. Close your eyes, think, remember, desire, enjoy, suffer, all our internal life, our mental life, thoughts, memories, desires, emotions, intellectual cognitions, all of these so diverse and continuously changing. But they are all lit up by that same awareness. Awareness is there. All our activities, walking and talking and eating and playing and working and driving, all of them are also lit up by the same awareness. So our sensory life, our life of action, our internal, intellectual, emotional life, inner personal life, all of it is lit up by one central light which does not change. He calls it samvit. And he says it's already a fact. Some of you are looking puzzled. But it's not difficult to see. Ask yourself, right now, am I conscious? Am I aware? Yes, of course. Some of them are entirely internal, first person, intellectual, emotional experiences. So diverse. Continuously changing. One thing is common to all of them and unchanging. And that is consciousness. Samvit. Tato vibhakta tat samvit. Aikarupya na bhidyate. Another thing is we will draw from here. This consciousness, this awareness, this samvit, unchanging, always there, illuminating all experiences, making those experiences possible. It is itself not an object. Consciousness plus object is equal to experience. Therefore, by definition, consciousness is not an object. Consciousness, whatever is revealed, is an object. What's the definition of an object? Anything that you can experience is an object. Vedanta gives you a very practical way of saying what is an object. Anything that you can label, this is an object. Idam, this flower, this flower. This jacket, this jacket. And very interesting, body, this hand, therefore it's an object. Breath, this breath, therefore it's an object, it's not consciousness. Thought, this thought. Memory, this memory. My most precious feelings, sublime feelings, emotional, beautiful feelings, horrible, depressed feelings, this feeling. It's an object. If it is an object, you are not it. You are the witness of that object. Yes. So, you are the consciousness which illumines that object. You are distinct from all these objects. How do you define an object? Anything that can be labeled as this is an object. Anything that can be experienced, that is an object. The philosopher Arindam Chakravarti, he is a very humorous way of playing on words. He said anything that objects to your consciousness is an object. So think of consciousness as a field and then it runs up against something. See, consciousness is spreading out, then it runs up against this and this form appears in consciousness as if it is resisting consciousness, and then we have an experience, microphone. We have an experience, flower. Thought, emotion, those are also objects.
Lord,
yes.
can consciousness can be compared to this like a function?
That I will answer later. Hold on to the question. We'll have a Q&A. I forgot to mention, after the talk there will be a Q&A. Just hold on to your question and you'll get a chance to ask those questions. It's a good question. Now let us move on. This is what we have got from this is already the first verse. This is the most important verse. It's the key to unlocking Advaita Vedanta. And awareness of awareness. Sri Ramakrishna says, Bodhe Bodh Kara. What is enlightenment? Awareness of awareness, he says. Very simple. You pursue deeper and deeper, you will come to full enlightenment. This is what Vidyaranya does. He pursues it. So this is our daily experience, our waking experience. Then what happens? We fall asleep. We fall asleep. Sometimes in Vedanta class also. And what happens when we fall asleep? We dream. We are not aware of the external world, we are not aware of the physical body, we are not even aware that we are dreaming. It seems like we are awake, but it's a dream world. After waking up, we'll realize, oh, I was dreaming. In the dream world also, we have experiences, the dream experiences. Tatatra swapne vedyam tu nastiram jagare stiram tadbheda tastayo samvid ekarupana bhidyate. Dream world. Vidyaranya Swami says, notice one thing. Yes, I admit dreams and waking are not the same, they are different. Vidyaranya Swami says, there is a difference. Dreams and waking are different. What difference? He gives one example. He says, I know, before you say anything, I know that the waking world is permanent, relatively so. The body you left behind, the bed you are sleeping on, the room, your possessions, your family, your car, everything will be there when you wake up. So the objects of the waking world are stable, not permanent, stable. Whereas the objects you experience in dream world are unstable. They'll disappear. The moment you stop dreaming, they'll disappear. You can't say in your dream, you're eating a pizza, and you say, oh, it's time to wake up and go to work. I'll put the dream pizza in the dream refrigerator. Tomorrow when I dream, I will take out the dream pizza and eat the remaining pizza. No. The moment you wake up, the dream world is gone. Dream refrigerator is gone, dream pizza is gone, everything is gone. So he says, in swapna, in dream, nastiram, they are unstable. The objects are unstable. Each dream has its own world, it's regenerative. But he says, my point is, Tadbheda, this is the difference between dreaming and waking. Tayo samvit, the consciousness illumining the waking continues to be the same consciousness which experiences the dream world. These are things too. They are very simple things. But what meditating upon? These are the keys to enlightenment and freedom. Sit quietly and think. I who am experiencing this world, which I consider to be my reality. Here I am. This is real. These people are real. This is my world. Imagine, this whole thing will disappear. And it disappears every night in my own experience. And another virtual world, a dream world is generated. But Vidyaranya points out that consciousness which was experiencing this world is also the same consciousness experiencing the dream world. Is it not so? Stay with it and think, yeah, that's right. The world can disappear from me. The body can disappear from me. from my perspective. Remember, we are talking about your phenomenological perspective, your subjective perspective, from your perspective. Don't say, what do you mean the body will disappear? I see that fellow sleeping and snoring there. Body has not disappeared. Our Swami Sarvapriyananda in Calcutta University, once he was giving a talk. So, dream world, Swapnavastha. The world has disappeared, the body has disappeared. One professor of physiology stood up indignantly. What do you mean, Swami, that the body has disappeared? He is sleeping and snoring there, I can see the body. Not from your perspective, from the third person perspective, from the first person perspective, from the perspective of the dreamer. What is your experience? Just as you had experience of waking, now you have an experience of dreaming. In the dream world, he says, the same consciousness illumines the dream world. The world of the dreams, the people in the dream, the activities in the dreams, the experiences of the dream, the body which you have in the dream, everything is illumined by the same consciousness which was illumining the waking world. Even the memory of the waking world is not there. The memory comes when you wake up actually, generally. So, that is also not necessary. But the consciousness continues. No difference. This is what, just thinking about, dwelling upon. And he says, I admit, I am not trying to force you to admit that waking and dreaming are same. So there are issues here. Those who dive deep into Advaita, you will notice, this is where Gaudapada, in Mandukya Kalika, he will insist there is no difference in principle between waking and dreaming. He says there are actually only two states, deep sleep and dream. Deep sleep is when you do not experience anything, and dream is when you are awake and dreaming, both are dreams. And so according to him, awakening means becoming enlightened, really, realizing that I am the Turiya, the fourth. But anyway, Vidyaranya Swami is not so hard. He gives concession. You feel waking is different from dreaming? Yes, we feel that. Alright, let waking be different from dreaming. Waking objects are stable, dreaming objects are unstable, they come and go. If you further insist, no, waking objects are real, dream objects are false, they're dreams. Fine, that also Vidyaranya Swami is willing to accept. He says, fine, let that be so. But my point is, the consciousness which experiences all of waking is the same consciousness which experiences all of dreaming. And there is no division in that consciousness. It is same, it is continuous and unbroken. Whatever was seen in the waking, object, whatever is seen in the dream, object to that consciousness. Alright, so what? Now there is another state which comes. Even dreams stop. Waking is gone, dreams are gone, deep sleep. Nothing. I said all objects are presented. There is a light which illumines all objects. Everything that is experienced. But now we'll extend it further. Consciousness experiences the absence of objects also. Let me repeat that. Consciousness experiences objects. That is seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting. That is thinking, remembering, desiring, hating, loving. That is enjoying, suffering. That is your waking. That is your dreaming. But also, in addition to this, consciousness illumines the absence of objects. Remove all objects. Sensory objects, mental objects, dreams. Remove everything. Just blank. Not even the sense of ego. I am dreaming. No. If you say I am sleeping, then you are not sleeping. If the mind can say I am awake, you're right, you are awake. Although in dreams also you can say, I am awake. No, you're dreaming. But if you say I am sleeping, then you are not sleeping. So the ego also goes away. Even the mind goes away. Goes away means stops. Goes into hibernation. But consciousness has not gone. This is the big claim of Advaita Vedanta. Vidyaranya Swami says, Supto thitasya saushupta tamo bodho bhavet smritihi sacha avabuddha vishaya avabuddham tattadātamaha. What does it mean? He says, when we wake up, supto thita, then we feel, what do we feel? Mind starts working again. Oh, I was asleep. I had some dreams. Then there was nothing. I just slept, just blank. I slept happily. I did not know anything. Sukham maham aswapsa nakinchidavesham. I slept happily, I did not know anything. That's also an experience. Vedanta Swami says. So deep sleep, general anesthesia, what we call unconscious, is not lack of consciousness. It is not the absence of consciousness. It's the consciousness of an absence. It is not the absence of experience. It is the experience of absence, according to Advaita Vedanta. I thought I had come up with this phrase, and I saw Rupert Spira, who is across the channel there, he teaches Advaita Vedanta. I saw he has used it in one of his books. So anyway, whoever came up with it, 500 years ago, Vedanta Swami is already saying it. That in deep sleep, there is a blankness. And we wake up and we notice that blankness. There was nothing. Rishi says, Tamo bodho bhavet smriti. There is a kind of memory of nothingness. Why is it kind of memory? Because memory also can't function, because memory is a part of the mind. Mind is shut down. It's a kind of memory, an absence. Nothing particular, an absence. If that is remembered, he says, Sacha avabuddha vishaya, that blankness, that darkness was something that must have been experienced. Memory cannot function without experience. Unless you experience something, you cannot later on remember it. So it was a kind of experience. But by kind of experience, experience of absence. Tamo bodho bhavet smriti. So there must have been a bodha, an awareness of darkness. That's what we recall when we wake up. There's nothing. Blank. That's also an experience. Which means consciousness continued. Just that what is deep sleep according to Vedanta? The absence, you remove all the objects, including the senses and the mind. What will consciousness experience? Nothing. And that's what deep sleep is. That's what general anesthesia is. It's very important, and this is something that can be argued. It should be argued. An opposing view would be, no, there is no consciousness in deep sleep. And this is a big issue of contention. Some schools of philosophy will say there is no consciousness in deep sleep. Consciousness studies, neuroscience, at one time used to say there is no consciousness in deep sleep. The functional consciousness is lost. But the peculiar thing is, again footnote, brain science is beginning to show that in deep sleep and general anesthesia also, brain activity continues. There are some changes in brain activity, and now they are trying to attribute that change shows that consciousness has been lost. But brain activity, most of it continues. If it didn't, the person would die. So, consciousness illumines the darkness which we call deep sleep. Tamo bodho bhavet smriti. Sabodho vishayad bhinna na bodhat swapna bodhavat evam sthana trayepyeka samvittadvad dinantare. He goes on, Vedanta Swami goes on. That consciousness which illumines the darkness of deep sleep, it is distinct from the darkness. It is distinct from the blankness, but not distinct from the consciousness which illumines dreaming and waking. So one light continuously illumines waking, dreaming, deep sleep. And when he says it is distinct from the darkness, see, consciousness is always distinct from what it illumines. Vishayad bhinna. And therefore, even the nothingness of deep sleep, that consciousness is distinct from that. Why did he mention that? There is a lot of subtlety involved here. There are other schools of Indian philosophy. There is something called the Purva Mimamsa school. And one great master in Purva Mimamsa, Kumarila Bhatta, according to him, the nature of the self is consciousness plus ignorance. So light and darkness together. That is the final analysis of the self in the Bhatta school of Mimamsa. So he says, here, Vishaya Bhinna, consciousness is always distinct from what it illumines. So if it illumines some object, consciousness is distinct from that object. If it illumines nothing, blank, consciousness is distinct from that blank. And this consciousness, this is what in Mandukya Upanishad is called the fourth Turiya. Mandukya Karika calls it Turiya, the Upanishad calls it the fourth, Chaturtham. Why fourth? I, who am here now experiencing the waking world, I will disappear. Because I, Sarvapriyananda, sitting here, I will not be there when I start dreaming. Another experience will start. And then fall asleep, that experience, in deep sleep, that dream also will cease. So these three are very distinct from each other. The waker is not there in the dream. The dreamer is not there in deep sleep. And the deep sleeper is not there in waking. And yet, most obviously, waking, dreaming, deep sleep, whom do they belong to? To me. Now the question is, to which you, to which me, do all three belong? Right now I am the waker, but I the waker, am not there in dream. The dreamer is not there in the deep sleep. And yet I am there in waking, dreaming, deep sleep. Which I is that? That I is not the waker, not the dreamer, not the deep sleeper. It is called the fourth. In Turiya is a name given in Mandukya Karika. That is in and through waking, dreaming and deep sleep. What is that? What's it made of? It's made of consciousness only. Pure consciousness. Just bare consciousness. Not mind, not ego, not body. How can you be this body? You say that you are there in your own dreams. Are you not there? But you don't experience the body there. So that conscious being which is there in your own dream, it cannot be this body. Because it continues to experience dreams without experiencing this body. You would say you cannot even be that mind, that person. Because when you experience deep sleep, that person is also gone. The ego is gone. The whole personality is gone, means sleeping, switched off. And yet you are there. You are experiencing deep sleep. Therefore you cannot be the mind also. You cannot be the personality also. What a great thing to say. I exist with the body and without the body. I exist with the mind and without the mind. I am, and there after that, addition of mind, addition of body. We say addition, Vedanta will say limitation. You are limitless awareness. Then you put in one cage called the mind, and in a further cage called the body. So, Vidyaranya Swami says that you are there as bare consciousness. What is all this? He says this is the story of one day of your life. What will happen tomorrow after you wake up? Same. Day after tomorrow? Same. He says Samvit Tadvad Dinantare. Next day, same consciousness. Waking, dreaming, sleeping. Day after that, waking, dreaming, sleeping. Same consciousness. Experiences will be different, but the consciousness continues to be the same. Then what happens? Masabda yuga kalpeshu gatagamyeshu nekadha nodeti nastametyeka samvid esha swayam prabha. One of the most beautiful verses I have ever read. He says, this consciousness, let me tell you the story of this consciousness which you are, this pure consciousness. Days roll by, same story. Months roll by, masabda yuga kalpeshu. Years roll by. Centuries and millennia will roll by. He said, wait a minute. After 70, 80 years will die. Body will die. Yeah, when body is gone, you are gone. Lights out. All your fancy theories, when the body dies, consciousness is gone. That's what we will say. Materialist. Gross materialist. We are now luckily alive at a time when this is being questioned. Seriously questioned. There is a field, one of the hottest fields of scientific inquiry called consciousness studies. Just yesterday I was with Bernardo Kastrup, one of the key thinkers of our age. He propounds a philosophy called analytic idealism, which is very close to Advaita Vedanta, very friendly with Advaita Vedanta. And there are others, David Chalmers, who coined the term hard problem of consciousness. If you Google it, you will find it. You see, what has happened is, we are unable to understand consciousness. So suppose one could explain consciousness through brain activity. Suppose one could do that. Satisfactorily explain consciousness through brain activity. Then we wouldn't have to discard, we wouldn't have to talk about all this. All these books would have been discarded, this Panchadashi and all. You see, these are obsolete theories. Now we have explained, it is brain, it's matter. Matter is the reality, not consciousness. Consciousness is a byproduct. Only when the body is alive, nervous system is working, brain is in good shape, and it produces consciousness sometimes. Other times it's gone. And when the body dies, the brain dies, nervous system destroyed, consciousness gone, lights out, your Vedanta finished. No. Here is I'm telling you, here is the big question mark which has been raised around the turn of 20th century. We are unable to explain, with all our advances in scanning imaging technology, PET scan, MRI scan, CAT scan, functional MRI, we are unable to explain how brain activity produces consciousness. Not just technically unable. David Chalmers claims it is a category mistake. In principle, you are making a mistake to say that the brain produces consciousness. Through the brain can be an instrument. There is strong correlation between our conscious experiences and brain activity. Someone might say, suppose you are saying brain is not producing consciousness, then why is it that the fMRI scans show analogous brain activity to our conscious experiences? You can easily explain, Vidyaranya he did not know about MRI scans, but he would have no problem in explaining that. He says, the objects of experience are changing. And those objects, changing objects or experiences, are brought in by senses into the mind and into the brain. And therefore, brain, when it processes that changing information, it will give rise to various neuronal activity. That is further converted into what we call chitta vritti, movements of the mind. And that is illumined by consciousness. So we are going to that level. If the body dies, if the brain dies, consciousness does not die. In fact, we will claim even the mind does not die. The personality mind continues to other lives. So anyway, it's like your device being destroyed, your computer, laptop, or if it is non-functional, if your data is backed up to the cloud, no problem. You get a new device, it will be downloaded again. One body is dead, no problem. God will issue you with another body, and you can, according to your karma credit. How much Apple credit you have got. According to that, you will get your new body, and you can download your samskaras, part of it at least, and start again your spiritual journey. Consciousness, Vidyaranya is not concerned with any of that. Neither with body, nor with brain, not even with mind, not even with samskara, not even with life or next life. He says, I am concerned with only the consciousness. Months pass, years pass, centuries pass, millennia pass, kalpas, eons pass. Indeed, the universe will go into heat death. You continue to shine. No deti nastameti. The sun of consciousness, the sun, it neither rises nor sets. It's forever light. That you are. Samvid esha swayam prabha. What proof? What proof of such a claim? Look at your experience. How are you seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching? How are you thinking, imagining, enjoying, suffering? All our experiences, they are all conscious experiences. And this consciousness cannot be explained by matter. This is the conclusion till now. You know how many theories of consciousness there are? Google it. Go to YouTube, Google 325 theories. Google it, you will find. Robert Lawrence Kuhn, he has been exploring this field for decades now. He has put together all the theories he has encountered and come up with 325 theories. To explain consciousness, this consciousness which we all have, trying to explain it. 325 different theories. There he says, the earliest such exploration was in the Upanishads. And he says the most sophisticated, earliest such theory is Advaita Vedanta. Robert Lawrence Kuhn says. In those ancient times, they found the answer. Then you might ask, why so many theories now? Vivekananda gives that answer. No, he says this. He says these questions were ancient and the answers were found. It's not that the answers were not found. The answers were found. But every generation must ask these questions again and rediscover the answers again. You say why? Because the answers will be subtly different and richer. They will gather strength as they roll down the centuries. If we can reformulate what Bernardo Castro, David Chalmers and many others are trying now. If we can reformulate and understand these ancient answers in the language of modern science, make it part of our scientific worldview, then the answer, same Advaitic answer, will have become a richer answer. Advaita will become richer. Our science will become more enlightened. So it's not a useless attempt that why are we doing this? On one side, the critics might say only science can answer it. All those ancient theories are obsolete. That is not right. On the other side, I as an Advaitin can say the answers are already there. Panchadashi says it, Upanishad says this, Shankara has given all the answers. Why should I be interested in your neuroscience and all? No, that is also not right. Think about a mind like Shankara, a mind like Nagarjuna, a mind like Vidyaranya Swami. Would they not be interested in neuroscience? Would they not be interested in the latest discoveries of science? Of course. So we also should be. Vivekananda was. The founder of modern psychology, modern American psychology at least, William James. Vivekananda became very good friends with him. William James invited him to give a talk at Harvard University. Now one of the most well-known psychologists in the world, Steven Pinker, is there. So I told him that where you are sitting, your office, William James Hall. The same William James was a very good friend of one of the pioneers of our particular order, Swami Vivekananda, who brought Vedanta to the West. And then he was very impressed. He said, oh, Vivekananda knew William James. He had really great friends. Vivekananda set up a dialogue with Tesla. Scientist, not car. Now in America, if you own a Tesla, you're in trouble. Because Elon Musk, for some reasons, he has become very unpopular. Because he made a certain friend. So now people are writing on the Tesla. If they are writing in America, they'll write pre-madness Tesla. So don't throw stone or don't put a graffiti on my Tesla. Swami Vivekananda was very friendly with Nikola Tesla. What were they talking about? The correspondence is available. You Google it, you will find Nikola Tesla Vivekananda correspondence. And you know what they are talking about? Physics, cosmology and Samkhya. Not that they came to any conclusion, because physics was not advanced enough at that time. Maybe now it is a better state, who knows? I met a computer scientist, the head of Google's quantum computing, brilliant chap. And he said, I took all this thing, and I spoke with Sir Roger Penrose, and said, ultimately all of this has to be encoded in matter, right? And Roger Penrose said, this scientist told me, he said, and he, that's Smarty Pants, he said, Roger.
Thank you, Shekhar. Swami, my request was that can you just connect it with the Turi Avastha with the Bhakti, with the mystic experiences, what you
Yes. So how do you connect the devotional paradigm and the knowledge paradigm? You are pure consciousness. But what does this have to do with God and devotion to God and faith in God? Please sit. It's very interesting. I just said today we are celebrating the birthday of Swami Akhandanandaji. And this is an instruction Sri Ramakrishna had given to Swami Akhandanandaji. I'll tell you the exact words in Bengali. It's a direct answer to your question. Sri Ramakrishna said, Jeja Ishto Shetar Atma. So whoever is your Ishta Devata, in which you worship, the deity, the form in which you worship God, you believe in, have faith in God, worship God, love God, that is the Atma. That is the pure consciousness. The pure consciousness with a name and form, with the characteristics, that Nirguna Brahman is Saguna Brahman. Many people take a very radical view of non-duality of Advaita Vedanta and say Brahman alone is real and God is false. No, God is not false. If Shankaracharya's famous saying, Brahma Satyam Jagat Mithya Jiva Brahmi Vanapara. Brahman is real, the world is an appearance, and Jiva is none other than Brahman. The sentient being is none other than Brahman. If you and I, sentient being is none other than Brahman, then what is Ishvara? What is God? Brahman. Brahman with, using the technical terms of Advaita Vedanta, that Satchidananda, that pure consciousness with what is called the Upadhi, with the names and forms of a body-mind, is a Jiva. With the Upadhi of, technically with the Upadhi of Avidya. This is the definition of a Jiva. Avidya Upahita, Ajnana Upahita Chaitanyam is Jiva. And the definition of Ishvara, Bhagavan, Maya Upahita Chaitanyam is Ishvara. So consciousness is common. We are that one consciousness. To realize that is Advaitic enlightenment. However, notice what you have to do to realize that. What did we do? We deconstructed our own experience of ourselves. Our experience, we have a series of experiences. Then we said the experiences have two parts. Consciousness plus object gives rise to experience. In the category of object, we have put everything which we earlier identified with, including the body, including the mind, including our most cherished ideas, desires, everything is in the mind. All of that we push into the category of the object. Then I become pure consciousness, or I am pure consciousness. That becomes clear, but that becomes clear only in a certain intellectual sense. Now suppose someone does not want to walk down this path. I don't want to mess with myself. I am me, whatever I am, I'm just this person. Now can I become spiritual? Can I attain to enlightenment, freedom? Yes, then for you the path of God is there. Instead of pursuing that inwardly, you pursue that outwardly. That there is an ultimate reality. Call it God or Allah or Jehovah or Shiva, or now it's Devi Paksha, Durga, the Divine Mother. And now you worship that. But there the approach has to be through faith, through devotion. It is the same reality. So the same reality clothed in a name and a form, clothed with attributes, guna, it becomes Ishvara, or the God of religion. If you reconstruct that, analyze that, that becomes the absolute of Vedanta philosophy. Another way to put it would be how to reconcile the two. Hanuman, he says there is no contradiction. When Ramachandra asks Hanuman, what do you think of me? How do you understand me? Hanuman says, Deha buddhya dasoaham, jiva buddhya twadamshaka, atma buddhya tvamevaham, iti me nishtitavati. As this body, as this being Hanuman, I am the servant, you are the master. Rama is the master, I the sentient being am the servant. Dasoaham. Jiva buddhya twadamshaka. As a sentient being, I am a part of you. You are the sun, I am a sun ray. You are the ocean, I am a wave. I am a tiny part of you. You are the limitless divine, I am a part of you. And as Atman, as the self, as pure consciousness, exactly as we talked about, Vidyananda Swami says, I am pure consciousness. So as pure consciousness, as the Atman, you and I are one. Tvamevaham. Same Hanuman is saying to Ramchandra, you and I are one. So are you saying that? It depends on which I you are talking about. The body, mind, I am the servant, you are the Lord. Devotional attitude. Or at most you can take attitude of I am a part of you. Part and whole relationship. As if you do the deconstruction, I am not the body, not the mind, I am pure consciousness, then I and you become one. Notice when Shankaracharya sings Chidananda Rupa Shivoham Shivoham. But before that, what does he do? 3 lines first. The first 3 lines of every verse is neti. Then only he can come to Mano Buddhya Hankara Chittani Naham. And not the mind, not the intellect, not the ego, not the memory. Nacha Shrotra Jivhe, Nacha Grana Netri, and not the 5 senses. Nacha Vyoma Bhumi, na Tejo, na Vayu. 4 years mentioned, but 5 elements, and not the universe made of 5 elements. Then he says, Chidananda Rupa, Shivoham, Shivoham. Like that, the whole Nirvana Shatakam. You will find neti first, and then only Chidananda Rupa, Shivoham. But if you don't want to do that, if you want to approach God as this person, I'm just this person, then you approach the divine as, the 5 bhavas are there in devotion. Shanta, Dasya, Madhura, then Dasya, then Vatsalya, Sakya, Vatsalya, then Madhura Bhava. As the peaceful attitude is that of this Vedantic attitude, of a calm contemplation of the divine, of the absolute. Or I am a person, then God is also a person, a divine person, then I am a servant. Or we are friends, God is your buddy, like Arjuna and Krishna. Or the child and parent relationship. God is my father, God is my mother, or reverse it, God is my child. Like the baby Krishna, baby Jesus, baby Rama, the baby. And then the attitude of the beloved, like Radha and Krishna, where all these attitudes are combined together. So, in these ways, we are appreciating the same divine reality. One monk told me, Advaita atta bhava. Even non-duality, it's also one particular mood, one particular attitude towards the divine. In philosophy, we say as if Vedanta is the truth, everything else is superstition, childishness. That's not true. Others are equally true. They are all approaching the same divinity. One is a way of approaching it through the heart, one is a way of approaching it through the intellect.
I'm Vinay. So you said object plus consciousness is equal to experience.
Yes.
So in deep sleep, there is no object, but consciousness experiences deep sleep. How is that?
Yes. Remember, tamo bodho bhavet smriti. So, object is removed. Then what is there? What becomes the object then? The object is the absence of the object. It's a very interesting thing. Absence. That's also an object of consciousness. Suppose I hold a flower. I'm holding a flower. You have an experience of me holding a flower. Right? Suppose the next moment I remove the flower. I'm holding the hand. You will feel the flower is missing. You will not feel that there is only a hand. You see hand, but where did the flower go? So you are experiencing the pushpa, abhav, the absence of the flower. Here is the flower, here is the absence of the flower. Absence of the flower is also experienced. You cannot say, I'm just experiencing the hand. You can say, but you feel that there's something absent here. So the absence is also an object of experience. So the absence of all objects, that is experienced in deep sleep. As I said, it is not an absence of experience, it's an experience of absence. What is the object there? The absence of the object is the object. Or another way which Vijnana says, that not knowingness, the ignorance itself is the object. That blankness itself is the object. In fact, his language is tamo bodho bhavet smriti. I experience darkness there, nothingness, blankness. It is like I am seeing all of you now. If I close my eyes, I am not seeing all of you. But has seeing stopped? No. Why will one little flap of skin, if I put it before my eyelids, why will the eyelids stop functioning? Why will the eye stop functioning? If I pull down the eyelids, it's just a little flap of skin. The eye, the retina, the optic nerves, everything is functioning as it is. It blocks out the presentation of objects, that's all. In one sense, seeing is still going on, isn't it? You can't stop the eyes from seeing. Just objects are blocked out. That's what sleep does. Or anesthesia, for example. Absence is a big topic. There is a whole branch of philosophy called Nyaya in Hindu philosophy, logic, Indian logic. And there is one category which is investigated deeply called abhava, absence. Once I studied Navya Nyaya. Navya Nyaya, those who are from Bengal, you must have heard of it. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was a Pandit of Navya Nyaya. In Mithila, that was the origin, and then later on it developed in Nadia and Navadvip. It's this Indian system of neologic. Probably the most sophisticated system of logic until modern mathematical logic came along, modern symbolic logic came along. Until that time it was the most sophisticated. I have studied both Navya Nyaya and Aristotelian logic. Actually studied it academically. And I can tell you Navya Nyaya is far more sophisticated. Aristotelian logic is child's play compared to Navya Nyaya. I once took a course in Navya Nyaya, 3 courses. So each course was for 15 days, so 45 days. Each day 5 hours. So the advanced course was 15 days, 5 hours a day. What is the topic? Nothing. Absence. For 5 hours a day, for 15 days, intense discussion. On what? What are you discussing? Nothing. Abhav. You know, there are 4 types of nothing. And nothing before creation, nothing after destruction. Then absolute nothing. And then the absence of one thing in the other. So that's also kind of nothing. Pragabhava, dhamsabhava, anyanyabhava, atyantabhava. Then what is nothing? What is the absence of absence? The nothing of nothing. Is it a new nothing, third nothing, or it is the presence of something? They will go on and on. Of nothing. Every day the Pandit would come. Only one sentence was analyzed for 15 days, 5 hours a day. Once as an example of nothing. Bhutale ghato nasti. So on the table or on the surface, a ghata, pot is not there. The pot is not there on the table or on the surface. And that he would write patiently on the blackboard and then start analyzing. Now the caretaker of the hall, this was in Asiatic Society in Calcutta, Vidyasagar Hall. The caretaker of the hall approached me. I was the only monk there, so approachable. He came to me and he said that, do you want a pot? It's easily available. He thought, these fellows come every day and they're criticizing, there is no pot. And he felt personally responsible. He takes care of the light and the projector and the blackboard. And so I can get a pot for you. Please. Is it on? Let's see. Just tap it? No, it's not on. I think it's been switched on. Tap it? Yes.
In modern science, the methodology follows we set up a hypothesis, set up experiments, then verify it and draw conclusions. In Vidya, no matter which topic we do, the basic methodology is the same. So, is what I believe. So, in Vidya, or while studying Atman or consciousness, what are the similarities and differences compared to this modern Vidya?
There are a number of similarities and differences also. As I said, I was reflecting upon it a little bit in my first little diversion. What is the difference between dogma, first person experience and science? Science has the advantage that it's not dogma. It's based upon experimentation, verification, third party verification. So the third party verification, nowadays it is what is called peer review. There's a whole system of peer review. It's a community of experts who will look at your work. Now, I said Advaita Vedanta can fulfill them, but clearly not in the same way. So first and foremost, in all of science you are studying objects. Whatever you study is an object. And that's very natural, because all our lives, what we deal with are objects. That's how Vedanta even defines it. Anything you are conscious of is an object. In fact, even things which are not considered objects in our day-to-day life, I mean the mind, I am not an object, I am the subject. But what I mean by subject is mind and all of that, and those are also considered objects in Vedanta. So, science always deals with object. Vedanta deals with the pure subject. So that is a huge, huge difference. Objects, you can easily do third-party verification. You can set up an hypothesis and test it. With the pure subject, the only method of verification, testing, and experimentation, whatever, is your own inner experience, what is called introspection. So that is a big difference. But there are some advantages also. The advantage is this first person experience is indubitable. Like Descartes, he set out to doubt whatever could be doubted. This project of universal skepticism. And he says anything can be doubted. That we are sitting here, it can also be doubted. It could be in the Matrix movie. I was giving a talk in Chicago recently, last week. And I gave this example. Then it turned out that the hall we were sitting in is called the Matrix Hall. So it could be a simulation. But one thing can never be doubted. the experiencer. You, Descartes put it in this form, cogito ergo sum, I think therefore I exist. But David Chalmers has pointed out that it doesn't have to be I think therefore I exist. I am talking, therefore I exist. I am walking there. Any conscious experience proves to me my own existence. Even if I deny that I exist, therefore I exist. So, the first person verification has this power of indubitability. Even scientific experimentation is fallible. It is fallible. Then it's falsifiable and then you can progress in science. But this one, if it's done correctly, is infallible. In the sense that it will lead you to only one fact, consciousness. And it's... that's all right. I couldn't know. After Q&A. Yes. But this is an interesting topic. I just recently started thinking about it. What Vivekananda did. See, dogma was well known. Religion will tell you something and you have to believe in it. That is well known in all religions of the world, especially in the West. It is well known that the religious book tells you and you have to believe in it. That's what is called faith, that is what is called dogma. It's a well known phenomenon. First person mystical experience is also a well known phenomenon. That there are great mystics who have had extraordinary experiences. But what did Vivekananda introduce to this scene? He said, first person mystical experiences which are replicable. Everybody can have them. And there is a procedure for having them, which is the Yoga Sutras, the Patanjali Yoga Sutras he translated. Now this is not entirely new. What is new is Vivekananda's formulation and presentation of it. That you can have mystical experiences of God, that is well known in all religions, especially in India, till today. Many people report having these experiences, and not only that, thousands and thousands of people in every century, in every age in Hinduism, they have walked down this path and have had these experiences. They don't have to be very famous saints or sages, just your village grandmother in the house who all her life has been devoted to Krishna will get a vision of Krishna. And that is not unknown, not entirely rare. So this was well known. Vivekananda bought it and put it in the language of modern science. He says, see this phenomenon. It has happened again and again and again. It continues to happen. It is replicable. It is first person, so it is experience and it's replicable. And then he says, I am convinced that the claims of religion must be put to the same rigorous tests of truth which the claims of science are put to. And he says, if anything fails these tests, we can get rid of it also. He says, any claim, no matter how comforting, if it is not true, ultimately it is not good. And then he says, I am convinced that religion will pass the test. And he says, why? He uses a mysterious phrase there. Because religion has an internal mandate. He uses this phrase. I think what he means by that, it's first person experience. To the one who has that experience, it is indubitable. Nothing is more real than that. It is self-illumined, self-revealed, which Vidyaranya uses the term Swayam Prabha. You can't doubt this life because you're seeing it. You can't doubt your own consciousness even more than that, because I am aware no matter what I do. Psychologically cannot be doubted, logically cannot be doubted.
My name is Sharad. Earlier in the talk you emphasized the need for collaboration between science and Vedanta more so these days, right? So why is that? Is that to draw more people towards Vedanta, or is there a bigger good because we are all of the same fabric of consciousness? So more people practicing Vedantins, will that ease the introduction of
yes, you're right. Is it to draw bigger crowds? There's nothing wrong in drawing bigger crowds. See, why this is important to put it in this way, we are all children of this age. You may read lots of Vedanta books, but still our mindset is that of a person of the 20th, 21st century. Our mindset is not that of 8th century AD or of Nagarjuna's time, 1st century AD, not like that. So, if it is put in the language of science, in the terms acceptable to science, it becomes clearer to understand and easier to understand and accept. That's one. So honest access, not just to pull crowds. Honest access to people, thinking people. See, there's another thing. So this is one thing, access to people. It's easier because this is the language of the age. Second, thinking people. There was this philosopher, Luke Ferry. I read his book, Introduction to Western Thought. It's an introduction to Western philosophy, but I've read a number of such books, but they were all written by English authors, either in England or in America or Australia, New Zealand, the Anglophone authors. First time I read an introduction to Western philosophy by a continental philosopher, a French philosopher, because it's translated into English, became a popular introduction. But I realized there's a great difference. First of all, if you see in France, they don't consider the English writers as philosophers at all. If you see the bibliography, there is no Mill, there is no Bentham, there is no Bertrand Russell, nothing. It's all the recommended reading is all French and German, one or two Italian. So that is Spinoza will make the cut, but not English writers. They are beneath recognition. Now, in that. He goes through a very nice, I learned a lot from it. But his presentation, Luke Ferry, his presentation was very interesting. He said these are the phases of Western thought. Greek thought, broadly speaking. Then the coming of Christianity. Then he says coming of modernism. And now there's a phase of postmodern thought. At the end he asks, which one do I prefer? If I were given a choice, which one do I feel I like it? He says Christian thought. So if Christianity is right, God, heaven, devotion, faith, salvation, if these things are right, I would feel most comfortable. But he says, my problem is, I can't believe anymore.